Welcome to the show where anything could happen. The real play experience where we put players against problems with no easy answers, incomplete information, and always against a ticking clock. Coming up in this episode.
I'll look up first contact protocols to see if there's a standard radio message we send for these things. Hang on a moment, I'll be back in a minute.
Or just say, hey, can you hear us? Please give us a sign.
I'm Oscar, I'm your host, and it's my job to set things up and to go behind the scenes to pass messages to players to keep knocking things off track. In this episode, we find ourselves in the Kepler-22 system, where the survey and salvage vessel Helix Wake is conducting operations on K22 Delta 6, a 200 kilometer long metallic asteroid on a slow inbound solar trajectory. Its mass signature indicates extraordinarily dense superconductive materials, potentially a jackpot for deep space infrastructure projects. GlacioDyne's Deep Claim Salvage division is funding the operation. The crew began mining operations just under 12 hours ago, but in the last 90 minutes, there's been some strange activities going on. The asteroid shifted, not once but multiple times. Internal temperatures are rising. There are tremors, electromagnetic spikes, and a low-frequency resonance coming from inside. The party has been summoned to the bridge to make a decision: push forward with the mining, investigate further, or abandon the claim at great cost. But remember, anything could happen.
Hi, I am Lucy. I'm a video game producer, and today I will play Emmanuel Lucicant, the UFR ethics officer, making sure we respect the law.
Hello, my name's Kareem Crompley. I'm playing Grant Clement, the mission commander or contract holder for this particular engagement.
Hello, I'm Antonio Salheta. I'm a game designer, and I'm playing Jay Hunot, the lead xenogeologist. Woof.
Hi, I'm Chris Payne. I'm playing Sabian Burke, the corporate observer. I'm here to make sure that the company's investment is safe.
But of course, anything could happen.
Right. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the bridge. We need to sort out some anomalies with this asteroid we're looking to potentially process for the company. Have we got some latest scans there? Jay, anything from you?
Yes, we have some rhythmic pulses coming from the core. The crystalline layering appears to be grown rather than accreted, which is odd, but I can request more data if you want.
Yes. Grown, you say?
Yes. Most of these events, the crystalline layering tends to accumulate rather than grow from one point outwards.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Crystalline lattice is potentially extremely valuable, though.
Oh yes, but the fact that this thing seems to have some kind of beating pulse, for want of a better phrase, and it keeps changing course. It's have we got any evidence of external forces which might be causing the course changes? Obviously not.
I do not know.
Can I just say that, obviously, as the representatives for ethics, to make sure that everything is legal here, I'd like to remind you that if there's any signs of life, we have to hold the operations. And I have to say, I suspect something biological is at play here.
It certainly smells fishy. Let's put it that way.
Oh, there's very little evidence of that so far. We just have an unstable rock.
Well, not really. We do not have any evidence that the asteroid is moving due to external forces, but we have received sort of a shortwave seismic echo that follows a consistent sinusoidal pattern. So there is some oddity. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying perhaps we should conduct further analysis rather than go straight into drilling.
I think send off another probe if we can, whatever the best one we've got is, to see if we can analyze anything else with a greater degree of efficacy.
It is imperative that we stay on schedule.
I know that, but we're still on our way to the asteroid, so better we find out what we do when we do.
And it's more imperative that we don't actually stray away from the law.
Well, it's not just the law, there's other things at play here, but yes, absolutely. I mean, there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for this. We just need to potentially dig a little deeper, if that's quite the right phrase to use at this time. I don't know. But yes, must find. I mean,
Can I just say the amount of time I've heard there's probably a perfectly reasonable reasons in my career? I could retire now. If I could have a dime for every time I've heard that.
Well, look, we've already postponed the start of drilling to have this meeting. Can we at least take a sample? Can we agree that would be useful?
Oh, absolutely. Taking a sample is probably a small sample, nothing too invasive. I think would be a good idea.
We just need to know what we're dealing with.
A small core sample.
I do have some samples that I don't think we have conducted any sort of analysis on them yet. I'll put that the top of the pile.
But I mean, you're talking surface samples, aren't you? We would need
samples?
to drill at least a little bit to get a core sample.
Well, these are earlier samples. They're not the most current samples, of course, because we have drilled, obviously not extensively.
Well, if we can get a deep core sample, then that will tell us what we're working with here. It might reveal the source of this instability that you've measured.
Perhaps, but also, if there is some sort of instability, there is some sort of, as we've noticed, some rhythmic patterns, some activity, and we risk, drilling deeper, we might start some sort of cataclysm event.
Indeed.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
And there is a bit of, I don't want to be on the same ship as others. There's been this sort of what a witch hunt one would call it, right? I think we need to tread very carefully. I'd love to keep my job.
Of course.
Well, let's initiate the scan on the sample we've already done, Jay, please. And let's remember that we are all docked on the asteroid now, and
Can we run any sort of signs of molecules that are unusual to this environment? Something that would suggest that maybe there is life.
Yes, I completely agree. I'll have that on the dock.
Thank you very much.
There's highly unlikely to be any traces of life on the exterior of this rock. If you're looking for microbial organisms, they're going to be deeper. A core sample will give us a good breadth of data to work from. Can we please at least initiate a core sample drill?
I would urge against it.
can we do a shallow one, Jay? I mean, we don't want to go multiple meters in, maybe a sort of 1 meter one. Or something like that.
Yeah, of course. I believe we can definitely get more up to date samples. That is definitely possible. This seismic echo is not usual.
Mm-hmm.
It is if you'll allow me, there's some research, but it's very vague about this, but I know it sounds strange, and bizarre, but it does have a sort of similar beat to a heart.
Okay.
You're suggesting that this rock is alive.
I'm not suggesting anything. I am just. I would like us to consider their other possibilities rather than smaller microorganisms. There could be something bigger than what we initially are used to encounter.
I tend to agree. There seems to be a certain query raising from the fact that this, what purports to be a rock, has changed course multiple times in the not too distant past, when there appear to be no external forces causing such things. And the fact that it appears to be giving indicators of, how can I put it?
Life?
Mutability, both internal and external. Then I think a little further investigation is worth doing before we decide to exploit it fully. There may be other ways of doing better things if it is some kind of life form. Maybe first contact procedures need to be involved. I don't quite know.
I wholeheartedly agree, Commando. In which case, can we initiate a deep core sample that will give us the best information about what we're dealing with?
Well, I want to get the answers on the current sample we have, and let's initiate a 2-meter core sample. I think that should be deep
Can
enough.
I suggest something first? Perhaps
Yes,
that would be less invasive if this whole asteroid is actually alive. Could we actually blast a message, sort of? Can you please pump if you can hear us? I was going to say blink, but not that we can see. Can you give us a sign if you're alive, sort of? Surely we have radio signals on this platform.
I suppose so. Whether this is the kind of thing that would communicate via our kind of communications technology. I mean, we could look. Can we look up? I'll look up first contact protocols, see if there's a standard radio message we send for these things. Hang on a moment. I'll be back in a moment.
Or just say, "Hey, can you hear us? Please give us a sign."
I think that's an excellent idea. Let's do it, and if we get no response, then we can proceed.
I'll reserve my judgment on the next steps. I mean, we are docked on the asteroid, so literally on it. So surely, if it has the capability of understanding us...
Obviously, we're not necessarily prepared for any sort of biological encounter. I can conduct a seismic echo to sort of map the internal structure of the asteroid. Now that we're this close.
Yes, definitely. Well, we're on the asteroid now, so yes. Set up your equipment and start it forthwith.
Very well. There's. I don't want to go out on a limb of this being a heartbeat on anything like that. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, I'm a geologist, not a biologist. But we could perhaps try to listen in on said heartbeat, being that we produce some sort of external cause to change the heartbeat. Maybe,
well,
like a little
that makes perfect sense.
Zap.
If we're making any kind of impact on this internal rhythm, then it may give us a clue as well. I'd have thought we'd been recording this by now for posterity. Set up the recorders and let's have a listen in, shall we?
Very well. I have the reports that the seismic mapping shows a crystalline shell with concentric cavities.
Concentric?
Yes.
Cedric. So we're talking about multiple layers of different materials. then I think we absolutely have to do a deep core sample to find out what those layers are.
And the
If
temperature at its core was raised by 0.4 degrees.
Compared to what? Compared to before we got here?
To its resting temperature, I suppose. I will have a look.
Were we able to send a sort of pulse towards it? Could it be linked
let's-
to...
Let's try sending a sympathetic pulse of the same frequency. Maybe if we can engage something like that.
Indeed. Very good.
The concentric cavities, it's hard to tell. There seems to be multiple areas. Perhaps it's the inside of a sort of a spiral shell. It's hard to tell from the data that we have.
Oh, a
we would
spiral?
need more time to properly analyze it.
That's definitely making me think more.
Dr. Hernot, is there a mineral formation that would create a spiral naturally?
Not that I know of. Spirals are, well, circular shapes in general are hard to achieve in mineralogy, but it is common in organic life forms, snails and whatnot.
I think this is a very concerning potential proof of life. And we can't exactly make first contact. We don't have a mandate for it.
Indeed.
Perhaps just 24, 48 hours, and we would be able to avoid any sort of major catastrophe.
Yes. Or illegal first contact with a civilization.
Can we at least make a shallow core drill sample, just at least to get a representative chunk of the outer shell? What harm could that do?
But the outer shell of the inner core? Are you using metaphors to dance around the fact that you're trying to tinker with this item being thing?
We need to know what it is. If we abandon a multi-billion-dollar resource, going back to saying it sounded like a heartbeat and we thought it might be spiral inside.
No, of course not. I mean, that if anything, we should stay here and analyze this further. But the pulse the pulse was emitted and it came back weirdly dispersed. There's a low frequency resonance that seems to be emanating from the interior of the asteroid.
Perhaps it's reacting to our sympathetic pulse.
It seems to be the case.
Okay. I think that my recommendation as the ethics officer is that this is too much of a biosign for us to keep going on the mission.
And not to mention, we can stay around here 24 hours, 48 hours, get some more data and make a call on this once we are a little bit more informed, especially considering these new findings.
You will need, if we're going to hold up extraction, then we need to have something concrete to report to headquarters. We need to have something a little bit more solid than scan scan results and vibrations.
Okay, just to catch us up where we were. We started drilling operations 12 hours ago. 90 minutes ago is when the funny stuff happened. Can we go back in the records, see if we breached any particular point at that layer, whether we breached a certain layer in the geology, that kind of stuff that may have caused the kind of reaction we are now experiencing? Can someone speak to the miners? Let's see if I can chat. I can call them up. So they can tell me what depth we got to 95 minutes ago. Oh. Sensors are showing the pulse emanating from the asteroid is magnetic, and it's clasped the ship to the surface of the asteroid. We might have some difficulty getting off.
That's new.
So it's attracting us to the asteroid.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the data now. Obviously, ideally we'd have a bit more time to go through this properly, but I can tell you that 90 minutes ago was about the time that we broke the crust. And that's about the time that we also started seeing signs of some strangeness.
So there was a definite defined layer that we broke through.
Yes, those initial samples.
All right.
That
Was
may
this
mean that
top layer, or is this a layer, an observable layer beneath?
No, just the top layer.
Okay.
It may be that the next layer beneath is a natural metallic layer that was shielding us from some sort of. Is it possible this asteroid has a liquid core? If the temperature's fluctuating.
Could be, but the spiral sort of structure at the core of the asteroid, it's one would expect that core to be liquid.
Could that be a product of rotations as the asteroid passes through gravitational wells? What I'm saying is that without none of this conclusively proves that we're dealing with anything alive here. But if we are unable to overcome the magnetic pull of the rock, then perhaps we need to place some shielding of our own over the drill hole.
I was going to say as well, Commander Clement, are we able to see whether this magnetic occurrence has prevented us from running away if we need to?
That's the next thing I was doing. Is I've just run the resonance sounds through audio processing, and it's a defined sine wave that's coming through. It's a bit too pure for. I
don't like that.
We've just had a tremor and a pulse wave. It's taken out sensors briefly.
I felt the tremor.
Our sensors are. What's happening?
Down. Right.
Oh.
What?
I think they're starting to come back now. It just maybe tripped some breakers or something. Something's not happy. Something's definitely not happy.
All right, everything's back.
Okay, I'm going to see if.
Sorry, go ahead, Commander.
I'm going to start spinning up the engines to see if we can what it's going to take for us to lift off again if we have to.
Just in case. Coordinated action. As you do that, perhaps we position the probe and try the idea of the trying to zap it. Maybe the combination of the electrical pulse, will be enough to release this magnetic, charge, and we'll be able to fly off. And if we also listen in, we might kill the proverbial two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
Let's get this ready. Make sure everyone's clear of the landing site.
I'll point out that won't prove anything, because we know that electrical pulses and magnetic radiation are linked. So it's not going to conclusively, just because we can disrupt a magnetic field, doesn't conclusively prove that anything here is alive.
That's fair, Burke, but I'd like to remind you that at this point we're dealing with so much uncertainty that there's also our lives at stake.
I appreciate that. I'm not an idiot.
My responsibility is to make sure that we're not tinkering with any unknown life, but also maybe to make sure that we also keep our lives, you know.
Yes, I'm aware.
And also, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be with my heads up in the clouds, but, well, we're technically beyond the clouds, but this could be the chance for a once-in-a-lifetime find.
I mean, it could
Okay.
also be a once in a lifetime chance, in the sense that if we die from, you know,
Exactly.
this new thing, that will be the one time.
Okay. The ship ain't going anywhere at this point in time. Whatever's generating this magnetic field has us tight. So I'm going to order all drilling work to stop at this point. See if
Whoa.
it calms it down.
Whoa. Massive
Whoa.
tremor.
All right. There was definitely a reaction to the shock.
Okay. We're definitely getting some kind of responses here.
I think it's too dangerous. We should halt the mission.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep calling it the heartbeat, but the heartbeat skipped as we shocked it. And then restarted?
We might be torturing some sort of unknown life, giant life, space life thing that we're docked to, and we're not sure we can actually leave.
Or we just knocked it out of hibernation? We definitely need someone in the biology, a xenobiologist on site.
We don't have. Dr. Lucicant is the closest we have to a biologist.
Wow, thanks.
All right. Look, let's focus on detaching the ship, which also represents a multi-billion-dollar corporate investment. Not to mention the lives of the crew. So, Commander, are we able to take off from the surface of the rock?
Not at the moment, and we've now got cracks starting to appear on the surface.
Is there a sort of a sorry for disturbing you post that we can send?
I think just stopping doing anything remotely invasive is probably a good plan. I've already asked the miners to stop doing anything like that.
I like that.
If the asteroid is breaking up, what is the risk to this vessel?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. We ought to get back on board right now. As an emergency.
Is it likely to just fracture and split into two, or is it likely to shatter into thousands of separate pieces?
Well, there are multiple cracks. Depending on how the geology decides to make the terminal fractures, it could do anything. It could fall apart, come back together, depending on the forces and bounces. It's one of those huge. Oh dear!
Commander, it seems like it's
line
expanding.
building its way underneath the vessel.
The asteroid is expanding.
What?
Expanding.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think we're standing on an eggshell.
Well,
That if it does sort of make sense, really, if you think about it.
Well, I sure hope that if we can't get undocked, that the bit of eggshell we're on, when it cracks, just makes us fly away.
Right, I think we need to get everybody on board, as much urgent material and kit as possible that we can do in time. We need to get him ready that if the system does,
Commander, we have
the
less than
asteroid
2
does
minutes.
release us, we can get ourselves away as quickly and safely as possible. This is getting to be worrisome, to put it mildly.
Commander, how
Finally.
are our shields against physical detritus?
Well, we're talking about something that's 200 kilometers long as an asteroid. This is a
Yes, but
big
we're
piece.
attached to part of it.
Yes. We are dealing with something that is falling apart, that is about to separate into multiple pieces. Our shields are okay for traveling through space, various bits of pieces. We are talking massive potential lumps of rock that could bounce against one another and crush us between them.
Commander, perhaps we could drill down into the shell where we are on. That might release, the pressure and enable us to let go of this magnetic charge.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Yes, that sounds good.
Wow, for once money's not the first thing that comes to your mind, Burke.
Money is my job, but I also want to survive this operation.
Wow. I'm glad that we could have this conversation and could realize what the most important thing is at stake here. Hang on. If we're drilling, and we're drilling into a life form, aren't we at
The
risk
bridge
of
is
being...
knocked out. I'm losing contact. Sorry.
Oh no. Oh gosh. Mission commanders, okay.
Oh, no.
Who's the next commanding officer?
As the representative of the UFR, I think I should take on. I
Power
literally
systems
represent the
All
law.
right, all right.
Okay. I don't think we should drill because I just realized that if we drill a life form, I mean, we could make it believe that we're attacking it.
So what is your proposal? We just cling to the shell and hope that we survive the hatching?
We have 30 seconds. If we don't...
Could we try to detach from the shell as the shell cracks and opens? Perhaps at that point, whatever's creating this magnetic pulse,
Precisely, as if the shell loses integrity, then presumably the magnetic field will also be disrupted. So at that moment, we may be able to escape.
Fair enough.
Can we adjust the shields to better resist physical detritus rather than energy weapons?
Well, let's push the shields to the max, isn't it?
Yes.
Turn off all unnecessary powers.
Shall I use the drills or not?
Yes. We don't have a choice.
Very well.
Thank you, officer.
Look at us, Burke. Finally working together.
As the drill is engaged, there is a large crack that appears in the surface, and the vessel is thrown off of the surface, spinning into outer space. As it does, the shell cracks apart, and extracting from the shell is an enormous, luminous life form that gently glides away and heads into the void and disappears.
It was so beautiful.
The vessel you're in is struggling with problems with the bridge down. The life support system is absolutely endangered. You're probably going to have to get into life sports. There are probably a number of casualties in the process, but you have witnessed the birth of a new luminous life form. And on that note,
With it?
anything can happen. And thank you very much for that. And we unfortunately lost Karim in the middle of that because of something going on at home. All good. Nothing serious. Don't worry. And guys, so there we are. There we have it. So do you what are thoughts or outcomes? And for those who don't know, I was having amazing internet problems during that, so I kept stalling. Can you hear anybody?
Literally
still are.
So I'm still doing it. So yeah, we're having every possible climactical problem going on, but we have a birth of a life form. Any thoughts?
Attach trackers to those shell fragments. They might be worth something.
They're worth a lot.
It was like I was expecting you actually, Burke, money man, to want to keep one of the eggshells to at least sell it or whatever. But yeah, I
had to
didn't
survive it first.
I didn't expect that it would be an egg. I was like, ooh, it's gonna be like a sort of breathing planet thing, like you have in was it Doctor Who? No, it's a sun that's alive, right? So yeah, I was like
the moon. It was terrible.
Yeah. This was inspired by the fact that the Doctor Who episode was terrible.
Oh, there we go.
And
Wow.
I was trying to find a way to not necessarily do the same sort of thing, but what would be an interesting angle?
Wait,
I thought
Oscar.
this might be, yeah.
Did this life form not lay a replacement asteroid as it flew away?
Not yet. That's later in its life cycle.
Yeah, it
Damn
needs
it.
to. I'm actually really disappointed that it's just a massive chick. Like massive, fluffy,
Like
just
chicken in the air.
so cute, super cute,
Yeah.
fluffy, giant,
Hey,
yellow ball.
Cosmic chicken.
Oh no! And then Burke
Yeah,
is
that
like,
would've been-
ooh, chicken, space chicken meat.
Space chicken, yeah.
Space
You know,
KFC. Mm.
So this is now forever going to be called the Space Chicken.
Space chicken episode.
Very good. Yeah, it's space chicken. Very good.
And for generations, people are going to be like, but it doesn't look like a chicken. Why do you call it space chicken? It's like, long story.
Oh, sorry. Exactly. Well, it tastes like space chicken. Maybe not. Maybe. So, in terms of any kind of secret knowledge or whatever you guys had,
Well, Well, I knew there was something biologic, but you guys wouldn't listen to me. Well, except of course for the lead geologist. I was like, I feel like you're my ally in this situation.
Yeah, we're scientists.
Money's alone.
scientists. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently capitalism is alone in this.
I'm just trying to protect the corporation's investment.
I
That's what I'm
love
paid to do. There is nothing more to Sabian Berg. I have no dark secrets. I'm just doing my job.
Yeah, right.
well, one thing
no.
that the mission commander did, which was maybe a bit dubious, he'd already sent one of the partial samples, but he didn't include the tremor data. So he hadn't informed GlacioDyne of the tremors that were occurring on the asteroid.
Sneaky little.
Yeah, so he's not entirely, doing all the right things all of the time.
I see. Okay.
That's why he's gone. He's been taken off to the brig. I see.
I mean,
Yep, that's exactly. Oh, it's a shame that Jonas isn't here because he always wants to have the conversation in the brig. But I'm sure he's gonna have some conversations in the brig.
that's for another time. Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. It's like, so there are lots of possible outcomes to this. If you had drilled, you could have killed the life. But because you did that drill right at the end, it was already cracking open. So all you did was release the shell, and otherwise you would have been destroyed in the process.
Oh, I'm
So
so
you actually
glad.
created a weak point at the point your ship was, without which you would have died.
That
I
was all
feel
part of
like
the
we
plan.
actually saved the corporation from a terrible waste.
But we also saved ourselves. I feel like, Burke, we found a way to work together. Finally.
Yeah.
Friendship wins. The true
Corporations
treasure.
don't have to be evil.
Yeah, and the true treasure that we found in this mission was each other.
Ah, friendship. Yeah, maybe not.
I
I
did
feel the fate is
Okay. Any
stirring
other
up-
thoughts
No,
or comments?
no.
I did love that part of my secret was that I knew that there was a heartbeat and all that, or something akin to a heartbeat, but I didn't want to be wrong because obviously that would be the biggest way to like never work again. My career
Exactly.
is over. Get out of the door.
I was being really careful in your brief as well, not to use the word heartbeat.
Mhm.
So the fact that even though I went to a consistent sinusoidal pattern rather than rhythm, rather than
Yeah.
but I did end up giving up and putting the word heartbeat in.
Mm.
I do
I
wonder
did-
if I should have just.
I was just like, what is a sinusoidal pattern?
Well, we released the space chicken.
Yeah,
It's all good.
we released the space. So this is. I should rename it rather than anyone could hatch a plan. Yes, I know, terrible pun. Again,
Big
for the
giveaway.
audience, it's kind of a giveaway, but I can't help myself. Hatch a plan is a perfectly logical thing. It could be any number of things.
I didn't realize that we had to try and read into the titles of the episode to give us clues as to what would happen during the dilemma. Anything could happen, but we have clues. What?
Yeah, exactly. We have clues, but anything can happen still. I mean, it doesn't have to have happened like this.
By the
Anyway,
way, are these like space chickens?
Oh yeah, go for it.
I was just asking if these space chickens are these like a known thing, a common thing?
Nope, never been seen before.
We have recordings of a rarity.
Of a brand
Yay!
new life form, a space-born life form. There are, I would suggest, in this universe, of space-born life forms, but it's the first time in canon we've had one. So
Those recordings are corporate property.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it. Damn it. They're never going to see the light of day.
Oh, they will. They will.
Oh boy.
Once we have a suitable auction for.
But Burke, you have to think, if these get
you
public, then
syndicate
every mining operation is going to be completely like scrutinized, be like, is it alive? Like, damn it.
And also, you're
but
gonna
that's
turn
true.
into a KFC, space KFC system, aren't you?
Space Colonel Sanders. I mean, Oscar already has the beard and all that.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'm not quite Colonel, but
Use the hat,
There's
Oscar.
a
Get
kernel
yourself
of
a nice
truth
little
to that.
necktie.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe not. On that note, anyway, folks, thank you very much. And if you enjoyed this, then please like, subscribe, share, and so on and so forth. We are now part of the Fable app. So you can find out and check out all sorts of other interesting podcasts, audio dramas, and so on and so forth. And our good friend Karim, who unfortunately hasn't been able to get back yet, is a voice actor in many, many such dramas. So obviously, please feel free to check that out as well. If you want to find out more, then please like, subscribe, share, talk to us. And if you've got any thoughts or ideas for what you'd like to see us do next in terms of dilemmas to face, then there's check out our Patreon. So on that note, thank you very much, folks, and we'll see you next time when, of course, anything could happen.